What is going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show. Who's hype for today's show on a Wednesday afternoon? Got Howard Bender with me. I am Dan Servodidio here on the Bettor Sports Betting, Bettor Sports Network, and Fantasy Alarm YouTube. Wherever you guys are watching, we always appreciate you joining in here. What's up, Howard? How you doing?
What's going on, Servo? You ready to do some betting? College? You got some college basketball picks for me today? What do you got?
I'm on college basketball today. We're getting into the thick of it. Almost, the Big Ten has been starting up their conference season, but we got some really good non-conference games every night now. Last night was awesome. Had some losses last night, but it's all right. We get back on track tonight because you can't win them all. I think I've been seeing things pretty well so far this year, though. So time to get back on track. I'll be giving out some college basketball bets tonight. We'll have our producer, Adam Bernard, to give out some NHL picks for tonight's slate. And we'll start out here, though, with some early leans and odds for the weekend's NFL Week 14 Sunday slate here. These are some of the games we'll touch on today. But if you have any games we want to give some thoughts on, definitely throw them in the chat here on YouTube. And any early bets you guys are in your mind or making already. Let's start with the lowest or the tightest spread here for Week 14 Sunday is the Colts, 1-point favorites on the road at the Bengals. 40.5 is the over-under for this one. Jake Browning led to the Bengals to that overtime win against the Trevor Lawrence-less Jaguars on Monday Night Football. But the Colts are here as road favorites. Colts on a 4-game winning streak coming into this one. Any thoughts on this game?
My initial lean is I'm just taking the Colts. If I'm just looking at who's going to win this, listen, Jake Browning had a great game. There's no doubt about it. The Bengals they had a better game plan, and they took advantage of a Jacksonville team that may or may not have just been looking past them. Forget about the fact that, Trevor Lawrence got hurt. That game shouldn't have been as out of hand as it was early on. All of a sudden the Jags can't stop the run? I'm a little bitter about that. I took the Jags as survivor pool. I don't really want to kind of rehash on that, Servo, but nevertheless, I feel like we are kind of overrating Jake Browning. And how many times have we done this, right? Like all of a sudden, Joshua Dobbs was phenomenal, right? And like what's he done? Will Levis, 4 touchdowns in his debut. And then where's he gone? So, I'm not going to sit here and anoint our good friend Jake Browning. He's got great weapons in Chase and Higgins, and we'd love to attack the outside of the field of the for the Colts, their secondary, because their cover corners really aren't that strong, and that kind of plays into it if Browning has a great game. But there's this Colts defense also has been like a top 5 defense in the last, 5 weeks. I think they parted ways with Shaq Leonard, and all of a sudden they're getting turnovers, they're getting sack numbers, and it's everything that you want in like a fantasy defense, right? And so you're looking at that as how the Colts have been doing. They're a game behind the Jaguars now in that South, so they smell blood. And I'll tell you what, man, Minshew or not, like whether you're a fan or not, this team does have the weaponry to kind of make this push in the division. So I think they can kind of smell blood in the water. And I think Jake Browning is going to be less exciting of a player for us to be talking about on Monday.
I'm with you on the just kind of a little bit of a letdown from the Jake Browning hype we've gotten this week. He was great in that game. It was against like a shaky Jaguars defense, though. And the Colts defense, as you laid out here, but the other factor here, they're getting Grover Stewart back this week from suspension. They're run-stuffing D tackle, and the run defense has not been as strong in recent weeks with him out, but that's going to be a huge improvement to the run defense here, which I think is a big factor when you're facing, a backup quarterback in Browning, where they probably won't be able to lean on Mixon in the run game as much, or forcing Browning to make more throws and tougher throws when they're kind of expecting it. The other part of this is we got a couple of bad weather games coming up this weekend, and one of them is here. Rain and about 20-mile-per-hour winds expected in Cincinnati for this game. I think that's going to be issues for both teams offensively, passing wise. But I have more trust in Minshew right now than Browning. I mean, when we were previewing the Colts, their win total at the beginning of the season, I remember, one of the things I brought up, and I think you agreed with it, was that Minshew is, an above average backup in this league. And if Richardson was going to be out, or if Richardson, had to be benched at some point, Minshew can come in and be a lot better than other backups in the league. And he's proven that here. He's been, he's not like flashy. He's not lighting up, but he's been fine. And the Colts too have, their fair share of weapons to, almost match the Bengals on that side of things. But yeah, I think I'd lean Colts here to keep the win streak going. I think there's a reason they're favored here on the road.
Let's definitely keep in mind the weather. I think that's going to be something. It's going to be a factor throughout, right? The Bengals game, the Browns game in Cleveland. I was talking to Andrew Cooper about it over on Alarm Fantasy Football, and he was talking about how it's coming in from the Great Lakes and it's being blown like down and towards everybody. So by the time Sunday hits, all of these games are going to be getting peppered, and if it continues to move in the same, I'm a freaking weatherman here. I'm like, if it continues to move, who the hell? If it continues to move down this way,
where's the green screen behind you and a little map of the U.S.?
My wife makes fun of me all the time because I'll be like, I was texting with somebody. She's like, you don't have to mime it while you're saying that you're texting somebody. I'm like, all right. Sorry. All right. I'm an old man. Here we go. Yeah.
There's the map for you.
There it is. If you're looking that direction, moving westward. No. Bernard, our illustrious producer, thank you so much for that. But anyway, the Jets game at home against the Texans, that's expecting some bad weather. The Ravens game, that's at home.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here. I'll crowdsource it with you, Servo. I'm in a survivor pool right now. Are you ready? My 3 best options this week.
Is this the one? So I'm assuming this is not the one. You had the Jaguars in your other one, I remember, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Oh yeah. Sorry. This other survivor pool, it doesn't exist. Well, it does exist, but it's a friend of mine's. A friend of mine wants to know, Servo, in this secret pool that his wife doesn't know about. His options are he could take the Steelers against the Pats, who everybody can take. He can take the Saints going up at home against the Panthers, right? But you could also use the Saints the following week at home against the Giants. Or he could use the Ravens, who continue to be a minus 350 favorite on the money line, right? Steelers are minus 275. That moved down from minus 300. I've been watching the that aspect of it. So, it's like, does my friend put his trust in Trubisky, right, and the Steelers on a short week with possibly no Najee, or does he trust in the Ravens where nobody else can take the Ravens but him? And this is probably the only time. Well, maybe if you want to say week 18 against the Steelers, but
my pick is the Ravens. Looking at the rest of their schedule, because they have the home against the Rams here, but then they get the Jaguars, 49ers, and Dolphins in their next 3. I think it's risky taking them in there, especially if they're on the road at Jacksonville, who might have Trevor Lawrence back, who knows, and on the road at San Fran. I would not take them there. And home against Miami is, that's sneaky tough. And then, a divisional matchup to wrap up the season against Pittsburgh is always tough. So I would be scared to pick them there, especially just with if there's any, situation where if they already have the division or any seeding locked up and maybe they're resting guys. So, I'd go Ravens here. I think, listen, as bad as the Patriots are, I do not trust Trubisky on a short week, especially because the Patriots defense isn't, they're not terrible. I know they're not great this season. They've taken a step back from last year, but that's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be an ugly game. I would not put it past the Patriots for winning. Pulling that one out. So
right, and so here's the funny thing. My friend said this about the pool, that there are 7 of them left. Right, somebody already proposed the chop with a 10% tip to the pool leader, and somebody turned it down. My friend did not. He wasn't the one who turned it down. He just, this is what happened to him. And so now anybody, every of the 7, all of them can take the Steelers. He's the only one who can take the Ravens. 3 of them can take the Saints.
It's definitely the Ravens then with that situation.
There are 6 of them who can take the Texans as well. And I kind of feel like, well, I always like to take home teams instead of road teams. I have a sneaky suspicion that some people are going to take the Texans, which I'll tell you what, CJ Stroud on the road in bad weather. Yeah. Maybe the Jets get a little boost with Zach Wilson coming up and playing. Maybe that's the upset there, which still has me on the Ravens, but nevertheless.
Yeah, that game too has one of those sneaky lines spreads. It's only Texans 4.5. I feel like the Jets are very live to win that game outright. So.
Right.
It's like bad weather game. It's a
Zach Wilson's homecoming again. All of a sudden, he saves the Jets, and then there's more talk of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, this will be the game where he shows out, and then next week we'll be back to normal for him. So
as Adam Bernard says, road teams at this time of year, you definitely have to consider them. Yeah, no doubt. But I have 3 solid home teams. In these matchups, each one though has a little dirt on it, right? Like a little bit of fungus growing out of it.
I think it's a little different though for a road team that normally plays in a dome at home in Houston. And when you have the rookie quarterback situation, as good as Stroud's been, it's still a rookie QB against a very good Jets secondary. That's they're losing games, but their pass defense is still very good. The Texans, you gave them out as one of your bets last week because they were on a string of home games where, they've been playing a lot better at home and have that comfortability of at home. But going on the road in New York it's a tough ask. So I'd stay away from the Texans for sure. I'm with the Ravens on that one for the Survivor.
All right, I will tell my friend, and I'm sure he'll say thank you.
All right. How about the biggest spread? And if he has this team available, I'd probably suggest the Dolphins because they are the biggest favorites.
They're a lock this week.
Yeah, if you still have the Dolphins available in your Survivor, 13.5-point favorites here against the Titans. 47.5 is the over/under. I have a hard time seeing how the Titans keep this close, honestly, because the Titans' pass defense has been a worry all season long. They're very good against the run, but their defense funnels things to the air, and I think that's just asking for trouble against this Dolphins offense and Tyreek Hill, who just lit up the Commanders. They're not showing many signs of slowing down. Their defense has improved now in recent weeks with the Jalen Ramsey, back from injury and things just shoring up on that side of things as they were at the beginning of the year. So it's a big spread, but I think that's the Dolphins winning here pretty handily.
Yeah, this listen, in the scheme of no brainers, if you're doing a confidence pick'em pool, this is you put the most money or the most points onto this here. I like the Dolphins. I like them covering the spread. I mean, it's funny, right? You can, you don't want to run on Tennessee. You can pass on them easily though because their secondary is weak. So Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle running around that secondary. I mean, that's just it's borderline criminal. Give me the Dolphins. I'll lay the points.
Yeah, and they've got A-Chain back now.
That guy. Oh, whatever.
he was lighting it up last week again. So yeah, this offense is very dangerous.
Here you go. You ready for this one? Right? Because the advantage defensively tilts to the Niners, but imagine the offenses going against each other. Miami and San Francisco. Mike McDaniel, the student to Kyle Shanahan, right? And the way, but look at the way both offenses are clicking. You got your second running back in Miami, right? They've got Kittle, the better tight end, right? You got McCaffrey, you got the 2 running backs. I mean, there's just the weaponry. It's Debo and it's Ayuk. It's Tyreek Hill, who's probably better than both of those 2 guys combined. And we're gonna splash in Jalen Waddle. So yeah, I'm very bullish on the Fins this year. I think they're definitely gonna produce.
So you're saying a possible Super Bowl matchup between those teams?
I tell you what, man, I should look into the odds right now of like how I want to bet that now. Exact Super Bowl, Miami versus San Francisco. I'm gonna go look at that. If you're available to do that in the chat right now here, and somebody wants to help a brother out, I will. I'll work on that. Look at that, a rematch of Super Bowl 19. Oh, see, now we're getting old school, Servo.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I was alive back then. All right, how about what is that? We talking Dan Marino? That's that range.
Yes, Servo. Dan Marino.
Who was that? Who was Dan?
Dan Marino is the guy who ruined the Jets with the fake spike. He did that fake spike, threw them for the touchdown, and the Jets have never recovered from that. Ever.
All right. The highest total on the slate here for Sunday's games is the Eagles Cowboys game. 53 is the over under. 3-point favorites for Dallas here. Eagles coming off that blowout loss to the 49ers and now have to, get back onto another tough matchup, a string of really tough schedule here for the Eagles. And the Cowboys are on extra rest after playing on Thursday Night Football. Listen, as an Eagles fan, I don't feel great about this spot here for the Eagles. I know they just brought in Shaq Leonard to shore up the linebacking core, but I think he's a little bit past his prime. And the Eagles, looking back through their games in Dallas, they don't have a great history of playing in Dallas, and it's usually been more often than not in the last 5-6 years, it's been losses of more than 3 points. So I'm leaning Dallas here, which is tough to say. But what about you for this game?
I mean, this is a game that I want to watch and enjoy more than I want to bet, right? Like I'll bet the over because that's what I want to see, not for anything else. But I'll put like a half unit on. I probably won't even. I'm not even going to bet it. If I'm going to be completely transparent, I'm not going to bet it. But I mean, look at Dallas. They're 6-0 at home. They're 5-1 at home against the spread. Last week, Seattle actually, covered. A lot of energy coming in as far as, Jalen Hurts and is his knee okay? And, what's the situation there? I think that these are just two heavyweights who could just be throwing haymakers at each other the entire time. We saw against, with DK Metcalf that Deron Bland, you can get behind Deron Bland, and they're going to have to continuously use safety help behind Bland. So if you put, let's say you put AJ Brown and Devonta Smith on the same side of the field, right? And that, AJ's sitting there with Deron Bland. Where are you going to put that safety? Is he going to come down and try and cut off, Devonta Smith, or is he going to end up floating back over there? I mean, you can do a lot of things to really expose this secondary. So I'm looking at I'll take the high scoring game here. I don't want to, listen, 6-0 at home. What's Dallas's money line? I'll take that.
Oh man, you'd lay that big money line, would you?
Minus 175, right? Dallas at home is minus 175. That's not absolutely big, crazy.
Yeah.
Put that into a parlay.
I would lean over on this, as you were saying with the Eagles side of things, but yeah, the Philly defense, got exposed last week, and I think Dallas has a lot of weapons to, in the passing game, but also the Eagles' rush defense has been getting, lit up in recent games. They started out the season very strong, but they've shown some holes lately, especially because of that linebacking issue. The first meeting between these teams early this year, for what it's worth, had 50 to 51 total points. So keep that in mind. That was in Philly. This one's now in Dallas. So I would lean the over here. I think there could be a lot of points. I think we're going to see a bounce back from the Eagles offense after last week. The Hurts injury, he's playing through it. I mean, I saw, what was it? Derek Carr. Did you see his, or David Carr went viral this week saying that the Eagles should bench Hurts and put Mariota in there to get, he said to get Hurts healthy, which I guess you could say that, but I don't think they're benching him for this game.
No, I definitely don't think that they're benching him for this game. I mean, I get the reason for it, right? You want to
Yeah.
you want to go for the Super Bowl, and if he is banged up, listen, you're. I mean, I don't know, the Eagles locked in. If they clinched a playoff spot,
No, not yet. But I think they
what
could
like
this
what do
week.
they need? What do they need to clinch a playoff spot here?
I think they probably need like a Rams loss or another team to lose, but they're getting close. I mean, you could basically pencil them in there. But this game is huge though for the division. So they need this one because if they lose this, then the Cowboys and Eagles I think pull even in the division. So it's a huge game for the divisional odds, and for the Eagles to try to keep pace and get the 1 seed. They would love to get the 1 seed still.
Well, that's the thing. But what's more important, getting your starting quarterback healthy or your seeding in the playoffs? You feel like, listen, I mean, how much, I'm not going to say that there's no home field advantage because there definitely is, but what if you got to play in better weather? Like, wouldn't think about possibility there? I don't know. Again, I think Carr said that to get clicks and viral and whatever, because how dare you say to bench Jalen Hurts? It does make sense if your sole goal is just, how you're going to finish for the Super Bowl, here in week 14, if he takes 2 weeks off and you use Mariota, maybe you go 1-1 in those 2 games. And have you lost that much ground? But I guess if you think it's more important to win the division.
I think that's what they're going to go for. And then hopefully if they do get a couple more wins in these next few games, then they can rest him. Their last 3 games are Giants, Cardinals, Giants. So ideally you can rest him in 1 or 2 of those games.
Yum, 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 yum.
All right. The lowest total, we were talking about bad weather earlier, and the other game that definitely looks like it's going to have bad weather is in Cleveland. Jaguars and Browns. Browns are 3-point favorites. 31.5 is the over under. Rain and 25 mile per hour winds expected for this, which for a quarterback matchup of likely CJ Beathard for the Jags and probably Joe Flacco again for the Browns, this looks like an under. Even with the low total, I'll probably take the under here.
It is a super low total. I think that was funny, right? I think this game opened at like 34? I think it was how it first opened up, and then it dropped down here down to now already the 31.5 with the weather talk. But yes, still not as low as Army Navy at 27.5. But you know what? I mean, with CJ Beathard and Joe Flacco going up against each other in a monsoon, right?
We might see triple option offense.
I mean, dude, I love, right? That's what I love about the Army Navy game, right? Because there's no high flying action over there. You're like watching 2 grunts just like.
Yeah, they're playing the punt game. There's probably a total of like 6 passes between the 2 teams the whole game. It's gonna be listen, if you love football, that is a game to watch and just enjoy every minute of it.
And it's funny too, because you mix Air Force in there and it's the same thing, right? They run like a quadruple option out of in the Air Force. Too funny.
I don't have any leans on this, but in terms of the spread, honestly. I mean,
this is going to be an ugly game. Don't bet it. Don't even look at it. So
Vegas was like, we're just going to give the Browns as 3-point favorites because they're at home. But like, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in this?
Oh, it's still on the screen. Oh, it's gone.
All right, let's quickly go to the next game. This is the bonus one. Big AFC matchup. Bills Chiefs, and it's a 47.5 over under. It's a 2.5-point spread for the Chiefs at home as the favorites. This is going to be interesting because the Bills, they got to win this. They're barely alive in the playoff race, and they definitely need this win to stay alive. And the Chiefs are in a tough spot here because they're coming off their Sunday night. Oh, the Taylor Swift shirt. She's been getting some. She was in Lambeau to see the Chiefs lose on Sunday Night Football, and now they have to turn around and go face a hungry, motivated Bills team that's coming off their bye week too. It's a tough spot for the Chiefs. I'm not surprised by this spread being just 2.5. I think the Bills are live to pull this one out. The Chiefs offense is still very much a worry because outside of Kelsey, they don't have any proven pass catchers. This receiving core is just, it's Mahomes just barely skating by with these guys. And last week it came back to bite them. They couldn't keep pace with the Packers on the road. So I'd lean Bills and get those 2.5, maybe pay up for +3 if you want, but I'd lean Bills in this one. What about you?
I've got Chiefs at -1.5, and I'm probably just going to I'm going to stick with them on this one. They're a -125 favorite on the money line. It's a close enough spread here. BetMGM giving me the 1.5, and I'll lay that. Again, yeah. I mean, listen, we've seen the Bills in these high flying crazy things, and everybody's down on Patrick Mahomes and what's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen is that Marquez Valdez-Scantling is not going to drop that touchdown pass. He's still going to get it this week, right? I'm not going to guarantee it to anybody, but you know what? I'll sprinkle half a unit on an MVS anytime touchdown in this game. It matches up well for him. And listen, he's been just taking a pounding for these last 2 games. And you know what? Last game, it wasn't really his fault. He was getting mugged. He was definitely getting mugged. It did not get called and whatever. I mean, listen, it happens. Sometimes it gets called, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, I'm gonna lean Chiefs here because I think that when people start doubting Patrick Mahomes, that's when Patrick Mahomes is like, "Oh, hi, how are you? I'm Patrick Mahomes."
You forgot about Dre.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Scott Cobe in the YouTube chat here saying, do you guys think Josh Allen reverts to Superman this week and carries the Bills to a win? It seems like Howard does not see it that way. I do think it's very possible that the Bills win this game outright.
Of course it's possible. If it wasn't possible, you guys would be like a -800,
Well, yeah. But
it's +105 here. It's not even like that great of a bet. I mean, it's plus money, but it's not like plus money.
No, but I think there's a reason the money line is that short, even though, so I didn't realize that on BetMGM, it is down to -1.5 for the Chiefs. When I was putting these lines in our doc and prepping for the show, it was 2.5. So the money has been coming in on the Bills. Might be close to a pick 'em by game time. Who knows? I will say on the Josh,
you know what? If we were doing this a couple of hours ago, we wouldn't have had this kind of line movement to discuss.
True.
Well,
good thing we're live here at 4:00 Eastern.
Food for thought.
On the Josh Allen side of things, we've talked about this in the past. When the Bills, coming off a loss, Josh Allen's rushing attempts, rushing yards, him scrambling, making plays with his legs, that increases. I'll probably have a Josh Allen prop on Friday's show, just looking at his rushing, because in games coming off a loss, his rushing and just carries in general definitely see an uptick. And coming off the bye, I feel like there might be a little game plan to get some of that involved, keep the Chiefs defense on their heels a little bit. So why don't you just
Venmo me the money that you were going to bet on that? Just Venmo it to me.
Why? You've agreed with me on that in the past on Josh Allen's rushing.
I have.
You don't think it's happening here, though?
I don't.
Listen, I think it's a bet that honestly could cash no matter the score, whether it's the Bills winning, and they're probably doing so with Allen running a little bit more, but also if they're losing and trailing, even though they have to pass more, it's going to be some Allen scrambles to stretch out drives and stuff like that. So
yeah, he really needs to, though. Like, here's the thing, and I was actually talking to Coop about this because someone asked us fantasy wise about James Cook, and I said, when they made the change at offensive coordinator and they bumped Ken Dorsey, you started to see Cook get more involved. He was seeing greater volume out of carries, which is great, and you want to see that, but what they're doing is they're trying to take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands so much. They don't want him to be Superman, right? You've got Stephon Diggs. Utilize, these, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid. You've got all of these weapons here at your disposal. There's nothing wrong with just putting the ball into your playmakers' hands. And I think that's kind of what they want to do, which I think is great. And I think that's what the Bills need in order to kind of, get it off of Josh Allen's back. Because, this dude keeps turning the ball over because he's trying to do too much. And that to me is the concern. And then I just think that, as they kind of balance things out or whatever, I think that, Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, I think he's just got a really good bead, on the Bills. So that's all. That's just kind of where I'm at with that. But yes, could Josh Allen then, run the football a little bit more? Yes, he definitely could if he does try to be Superman. I think, though, that the coaching staff is trying to get him to not be Superman.
Fair. Scott in the YouTube chat saying here that you have to think Stephon Diggs is a big game as well, as you were saying.
Oh, I'll definitely. Listen, he's going to deal with L'Jarius Sneed a ton, and there's a good chance that they float some safety help in that direction as well. So, but Diggs is one of those guys who just goes out there and earns his money, right? He just boom shows up when he needs to show up, and this is a big game. So yeah, I think Stephon Diggs will have himself a great game.
All right, so those are some early leans for Sunday's games. On Friday's show here on Bettor Sports Betting, me and Howard will be giving out our best bets, player props, touchdown predictions, and all that for the weekend's games. So tune back in on Friday for all that. And tomorrow is Thursday Night Football, so we'll definitely, me and James Grande will be giving out our best bets for Thursday's Steelers-Patriots game. Should be an awesome game to talk about.
We'll talk about that tomorrow, you and me. But listen, earlier in the show, you said to me you had some college basketball picks. You said you had a bunch. It's a big slate tonight that you're digging. So, talk to me here. Make some picks, dude. Give it.
All right. I'm going to start out with my alma mater, the Maryland Terrapins. They're hosting Penn State here. I'm taking Penn State plus the 7.5. I'm worried about Maryland here because their best player, Jameer Young, is questionable to play with an ankle injury that he suffered last game. I have a feeling he might be held out. But even if he does, I think he's going to be limited. And a big part of his game is, explosiveness to the rim, playmaking, shooting threes. I just feel like his overall game might be hindered a little bit. And I think there's a decent chance that he sits because the spread has gone down a little bit from when it opened. So just keep an eye on that, I guess, before you lock in a bet if you want. But either way, I'm going Penn State because as a Maryland guy, I know the history between these teams. And I had to look back to see just how close these games have been. And Penn State has continuously, every single game, played Maryland tough, especially on the road when they're playing at Maryland. They do not back down from this situation. The last 14 games against Maryland, Penn State has not lost by more than this point spread. It's been 7, 6, 5-point losses or outright wins. And that includes all 7 road games at Maryland since the Terps joined the Big Ten. So when they've been these conference rivals, they are playing Maryland tough. And I don't think they're going to back down here. They're coming in hungry anyway because they've lost their last 4 games, including a bad loss at home to Bucknell on Saturday. I think they're hungry to get back in the win column here because their previous 3 losses were all very respectable. Texas A&M, Butler, VCU, all in neutral courts. That Bucknell loss is bad, but this is a team that's lost against good competition. And honestly, if they were at home, they might be slight favorites. Maybe Maryland would be favored, but they're not, I think, 7.5 point, worse, 7.5 points worse than Maryland on like a neutral floor for sure. And as I said, Maryland might be a little hindered here with Jameer Young. Sorry. The big thing for this matchup,
take a drink of water there, man. Come on, you're working overtime here on these picks. I just want some damn picks, man.
I'm good. The big thing for this matchup is that Maryland has a very good 3-point defense, but they're terrible inside defensively. And this plays right into Penn State's strength as a team because they are, above average inside scoring team, but they don't shoot well from 3. So it doesn't really matter that they're having these 3-point issues because they're looking to score inside anyway. And Penn State or Maryland is undersized in the front court. They've really good big in Julian Reese, but they don't have much depth outside of him, and not much size in general. So I think Penn State can score inside. They have really good backcourt duo, Kanye Cleary and Ace Baldwin. I think that's going to be the difference maker here. And Maryland on the other side is shooting terrible from three, 22.7% from deep this year, which is going to be an issue, I think. And it's not going to help them, stretch out a big lead in this one if they aren't hitting these threes. So, yeah, give me Penn State as the underdog here on the road.
Okay, I can dig it. What else?
All right, another one here. Wake Forest, minus 3.5 against Rutgers.
No. The Demon Deacons? Really?
Demon Deacons at home against Rutgers.
Yeah, Rutgers. Come on, like New Jersey's finest.
No. This is Rutgers' first true road game all season. I'm always looking to fade some of these teams that have not gone on the road yet and proven that they can get it done on the road. And over the years, under Steve Peichel at Rutgers, they've struggled on the road. They have not consistently won or kept it very close a lot of times on the road, especially early in the season. So I think it's a worrisome spot here for Rutgers. And it's also a tough sandwich matchup and sandwich spot on their schedule because they just played a conference game against Illinois on Saturday at home, raucous environment, big game for them against Illinois. And their next game coming up on Saturday is against in-state rival Seton Hall. Could see Rutgers looking a little bit past this one to that Seton Hall game because last year Seton Hall beat them by 2 at home, and they've also lost the past 2 years against Seton Hall. So I think Rutgers could be looking a little bit ahead to that game. And Wake, they've had a week off between games, and they had an impressive double-digit win over Florida a week ago, but have now had a week to rest to prepare for this one. The big news today for Wake Forest, if you're a college basketball fan, you've been waiting to see, which players that are second-time transfers will be granted eligibility, have their waiver accepted or denied by the NCAA. And Wake Forest, Efton Reed, their center, transfer from LSU, was at Gonzaga too. He has been granted eligibility now, has been sitting all season, but he's now eligible. And he's expected to, probably enter the starting lineup right away. He's, a really good defensive big man, rim protector. I think it's huge for this matchup specifically because Rutgers has a very good stud center, Cliff Omaruri, where I think Reed can match up well with him and limit his impact in the paint and on the boards. So that immediately just had me looking at Wake. And the other, final part of this matchup is that Rutgers has struggled to defend the three-point line, and Wake is shooting 36% above average from three so far. So I think that specifically can help out stretch a little bit of a lead and cover this spread as 3.5-point favorites for Wake.
Okay.
Another one here, SMU as underdogs to Arizona State on the road. I just think this might be a little wrong team favorite situation, and the only reason Arizona State is favored is because they're at home. But I think SMU is the better team. Their 3 losses this season have all been against very good teams and respectable. That they lost the games: Texas A&M, Wisconsin, and Dayton. Which are all better teams than what Arizona State is. So I think they're really good battle-tested team coming into this one. And Arizona State, they've also only lost to 2 good teams. Their only 2 losses have been to Mississippi State and BYU. But I just see SMU as the more complete team, and they have a backcourt to match up with Arizona State's strength, which is in the guards, and then in the backcourt with Frankie Collins and Jose Perez. SMU has Zurich Phelps and Chuck Harris, a really good duo in the guard spot to really match up with that, and I think neutralize what Arizona State's strength is on offense. Arizona State's a poor 3-point shooting team this year, and also one of the worst free throw shooting teams, which is just kind of one of those glaring things when you're talking about like a tight spread like this, just crunch time late in the game. If they're not hitting some of these threes or hitting free throws where they probably should be, I think it's a bad omen for a small favorite like this one. So yeah, give me SMU plus 2.5. You can look up on the money line too. I think they're very live to win this outright.
Go Mustangs! I'm in.
Yeah, the Southern Methodist Mustangs. All right. And then two quick favorites of bigger spreads here that I'll throw out because I just like these guys to win big. First is Houston, sorry, minus 27.5 against Rice. This is so Houston just crushes bad opponents. This is what they do. They've been doing it for years, and they're doing it again this year. Their 5 wins against easier opponents this year. 4 of those have been by 30 plus points. Their average winning margin is 33 points per game. This is what they do against these easy opponents, and they've been beating their tougher, opponents by comfortable margins too. But when they're facing some of these just overly matched teams like Rice is, they're crushing it, and I think they're going to be licking their chops to get another blowout win after they've recently faced a string of tougher teams. This is just going to seem like a very easy spot for them. I think Rice is overmatched in a number of different spots here. It's a tough ask for them to come in here on the road to face the number 1 ranked team over at Ken Palm. They have the number 1 ranked defense in the sport, also a top tier offensive team. I see this being a blowout win, so I'm not afraid of the big spread. Give me Houston to win big. And then lastly, Drake.
Jeez, man, how much money do you think I have? I'm like sitting here betting 5 games like this. Holy cow. Save a little something for the NHL.
What else you doing tonight? Drake minus 15.5 at home against
there you go.
St. Louis.
I'm watching Drake.
St. Louis is a bad. They're struggling right now. They're down bad because they're without their top scorer, Sincere Parker, and since he's been out, St. Louis has lost 4 of their last 5 games. 3 of those coming by double digits. They hit rock bottom on Saturday, 40-point loss to Southern Illinois. St. Louis also dealing with a number of other injuries to key players. Gibson Jimerson, Terrence Hargrove are both questionable coming into tonight. I think it's a bad spot for them because you got Drake here rolling with double-digit wins against some, above average mid-major teams over their last 4 games. And I think they're going to just completely roll St. Louis here. They got a future NBA player in Tucker DeVry, very good big man in Darnell Brody. I think it's a match of advantage, especially inside when you're talking about what St. Louis struggles. It's their interior defense, and Drake is very good at scoring inside. So I think that can help stretch out a big lead here and cover the spread.
All right, look at that. I like it. All right, 5 games there. Drake, I don't know. I like your Houston one. That definitely seemed a little bit better for me. I am actually having some weather issues here, and I'm going to actually have to reboot my system. But I will say this. Adam Bernard going to fill in for me here because he's got some NHL bets that you're going to want to deal with. Look at that right there. Beautiful. Get me out of here. I love you guys very much. Servo, SMU plus 2.5. I am 100% in on that pick. Love it.
Thank you, Howard. Good luck with your internet.
Go Mustangs.
Go Mustangs. All right, Adam. Smaller hockey slate tonight, but I know you got some picks for us because we got to give, people are looking to get some bets out, and maybe they don't want to be laying so much on college basketball like Howard. So hockey, what do you got for us?
I got 2 picks for tonight, 1 total, and then we got 1 to win in regulation. Let's start off with the under Dallas and Florida here tonight. It's under 6 minus 105 BetMGM. I know we got hurt on the under last night in the Islanders Sharks game. Through 2 periods, it was 2-1 Islanders, and I'm like, all right, we're home free. And then I looked at my phone a little while later. I'm like, what the hell happened there in the 3rd period? Nonetheless, we're going under again. Both of these teams tonight are defensively focused. Both are trotting out their top goaltenders. With Dallas, you got Jake Ottinger, who's got a 2.53 goals against, and Sergei Bobrovsky. Bobo's has a 2.41 goals against, so getting 2 top-notch goalies there. Before their last game, Florida had gone 11 straight without allowing more than 3 goals in a game. On 3 occasions where Florida has been in a game where 6 is the total, it went under 2 of those times, with the last game, the loss to the Islanders being that one. We see 6.5 as the total usually in most of these games. Dallas has been 6 or under in 18 of their 23 games this season. So again, everything is looking at pointing towards the under, and this is one of those times where everything is pointing a certain way, so we're going to lean into it and go with it. Dallas under 6 minus 105 BetMGM. If you want that hook, if you want that -5 to make you feel a little safer, it's It's minus 135.
Gotcha. All right, another one that you got for tonight.
Yeah, we got Vegas here, traveling to St. Louis. This is the back end of a home and home for these. First one of the season for both. St. Louis won a close one, 2-1 in Vegas the other night, but they did look pretty sloppy. And listen, I know we don't like to use the D word that rhymes with new, but St. Louis has been on a pattern of alternating wins and losses for their last 7 games, and a loss is next on the pattern here. So factoring that in as well. And again, they were lucky to get that win against Vegas. The Golden Knights are a much better team. I can't see St. Louis beating them 2 times in a row here. I don't think, you could go with the puck line plus 168 on Caesars. But I'm going to say, because Vegas has gone to overtime 3 straight games, they're going to just take care of business and get this done in 60. Let's go Vegas to win in regulation, minus 105.
Wow, they're due. They're due for a win here, aren't they?
So the Blues are due to lose based on the pattern. So if you want to go that way, because they've been going win, loss. But Vegas, they've gone to overtime 3 straight, and yeah, they're a better team here. And usually, if two teams are playing and the better team lost the first one, they're usually going to go out and get the second one. And again, because they just want to get this done in regulation and get on the plane to Dallas here. So they want to take care of business and get out of there.
Go the puck line though, I know you like the puck lines.
I do like the puck line, but the Blues, they're a plucky team. I still don't believe in them, but they have been playing better lately. I can see them maybe keeping it close, and Jordan Binnington has been playing better lately, but he's also capable of a meltdown and attacking the other team's players. So you never know. The puck line could be a great way to go, plus 168 if you think they're going to blow them out.
Take a little chance. All right, so Vegas and the under in Dallas and Florida.
Yeah, it's a 4-game slate. Those are the 2.
Love it. Listen, even with a small slate, there's still some money to be made out there for some of these games. So appreciate it, Adam. Thanks for jumping in here as Howard ducked out. That's about it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday Night Football. Me and Grande will be giving out some of our best bets for tomorrow's games, player props, and all that. So definitely tune back in there. Maybe even talking some college football or basketball. There's always games on the slate. So and NBA, we got another in-season tournament night tomorrow night, and I know Grande will probably have a pick or 2 for those. So coming up after us, by the way, 5 p.m. Eastern is the NBA DFS live show with Impemba and Grande here on Bettor Sports Network, Fantasy Alarm YouTubes. And then 9 p.m. Eastern is Dynasty Nerds with Garrett Price. So keep it rolling all night long here on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. Appreciate everyone tuning in today. And, we'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, Bettor Sports Betting. We'll see you guys then. Take care.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.